how parents don't want to be schooled on how to become a better parent. So sometimes when you go like it's that cliche and say, this is what, you're doing wrong, you should make your kid do it. He committed, it's important to you. It's just like brushing teeth. He's got to brush his teeth at night, make him go to karate. Parents don't want to hear that anymore. But parents really open up to you, say, did something happen here at the school that changed his mind about pursuing martial arts? Almost like taking kind of responsibility. She goes, well, I don't think anything really happened. Then you kind of won her over on your side. Then from my experience, this is what we found. So I think you did great on that. Because I know you were upset when that kid wanted to quit because it was with you for so long. And I know that's tough. You put you're working with someone, you see them progressing, and they can really make it something on themselves. So great save. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other success stories? I'm just going to kind of people I can see. Who knows what their AR is? Or that's attrition ratio or retention. Who knows what their retention is? We had a good conversation yesterday. We're talking about different programs. And Sal jumped in. And Sal is doing something a little bit different than most people right now. And I really like what he's doing. And I don't think it's for everyone, but it is for him. But you really want to know what your retention is. Because if you have really good retention and you put someone on an entry-level program, and what Mr. Convento does is they automatically roll over into your regular leadership program, which most people are doing like as a 24-month program. What Sal does is someone signs up on a 6-month program. After their 6 months, they just continue on a ongoing month-to-month basis. They could cancel anytime they want during their program as long as they give 60 days notice, which makes things easier, a lot less pressure on you because now you're not committed to talking to that person about upgrading out of the basic program into leadership. They're automatically going to roll over into leadership. You can still have the same different look and feel of a leadership program, but it's not something they have to join. It's something that you nominate them and put them into. So in other words, you may have to say that you have to be a yellow belt to go into leadership class. Everyone's in the basic class. Everyone starts with the white belts and yellow belts. But after you get your yellow belt, this would be your first opportunity to be allowed to go to leadership. Not only do you have to get your yellow belt, but you have to have good attendance, this, and this, so you have different requirements. And now you have a student that just automatically goes into that program, and I really like the idea. But before everyone just jumps at it, I like to have people really know what their attrition rate is. What percentage of your students drop out on a monthly basis? In other words, if I have 100 people and I lose 5 students this month, well, I've got a dropout rate of 5%, which I think is pretty good. I mean, because you can't keep everyone. Just like we were talking to Dave a couple of seconds ago, he had a student that was there for a long time and then all of a sudden was thinking about quitting. So sometimes that happens. Sometimes people move, they change jobs, they get in a car accident, their family breaks up, they have something else happens in their schedule, so we lose people. But if you're losing 5% or less, I really like that idea about having people just automatically convert into regular programs. I think it's seamless. When we talked about things yesterday, we're talking about how tough it is to renew someone in summertime. When it gets to June, July, August, and people are from up north or where the weather's bad in the wintertime, and now they have 10 weeks of summer, it's sometimes hard to convert those people into longer-term programs or renew them. Well, what Mr. Convento is doing is he's putting him an automatic rollover, so he doesn't have to worry about that so much. He still has to worry about them maybe wanting to quit in the summertime, but they're not coming to a decision where, okay, now I'm going to have to decide if I'm going to sign up again. They're not thinking about having to sign up again. So it's not really a buying decision that's going to happen in the summertime. I'm going to do a Thursday meeting and more details. After yesterday's meeting, I came up with, I feel, is some really, really good ideas to make things special in those at month 3, month 6, where people are just really excited about the opportunity to go into that leadership program and different experiences. So again, I will do that meeting on Thursday. Today's meeting, I got inspired. I was reading a post by Paul Garcia. For people who don't know Paul Garcia, he's got schools up in Massachusetts called America's Best Defense. At one time, he was a competitor on the NASCAR circuit. He was part of Team Paul Mitchell. This was back in the 90s. We became friends. It was really cool. We became friends because he was fighting one of my students, and they went break after break, and they got into a fight, and then all of a sudden we had to break everything up. Paul and I discussed it. We became really good friends after that day. So it's kind of neat. In fact, we became such good friends. He sold his school in Rhode Island, came down to Florida, worked for my school, and then started working for my consulting company, United Professionals. He missed teaching, then went back to Massachusetts. So that's a long story, but right now he has 3 schools. One he just opened, 2 have 650 plus students. He's got a network of some affiliate America's best defense programs. He's doing really good. He's kind of an icon in the industry just for his success. Well, he put out a message saying that one of his locations had their best January ever, the highest grossing January they ever had. So he was really excited about that, but he was also discouraged because he looked at his statistics, his leading indicators, and some things jumped out. And he felt that even though he had a successful month, there was still room for improvement. So I just kind of want to talk about some of those numbers. So maybe start thinking more like he was thinking. So it's not just the bottom line of the gross, but are we doing all the systems correctly to convert someone who either calls us, responds to something on Facebook, comes in and does a trial to where they become full-time students. So let me hold on one second. Share my screen. My screen isn't filled out. I had a meeting at church today and I just got back. So I'm going to be able to do my screen as we start talking. But these are important indicators. One is you want to know how many info calls or hit on your Facebook. So people, this runs into 2 things. I can get a lead from Facebook. I can get a lead from someone who just opted in to see the schedule on my website. That's one thing. It's not really someone who is totally looking for martial arts. That would be more of an info call. Someone actually picking up the phone and saying that they have a 10-year-old son who's interested in martial arts. They heard martial arts is great for kids, and they want to know how to get started. Or if someone walks into your school, they fall into a different category like the info calls. This is a real hot lead. Someone walks into your school, they say, I've been in this plaza quite a few times. I've got a daughter who's looking for some self-defense, and I want some information. And then we have soft hits. A soft hit would be like someone coming to a parents' night out, someone who didn't want to call you, but all of a sudden maybe they want to look at your schedule on your Facebook or on your website. Maybe they gave you a comment on Facebook. You know, you did something on self-defense. They go, hey, this is a great idea. Thanks for sharing that. So it falls into 2 different situations. When someone actually calls you or walks into your school, I would expect, and I think the industry expects, 80% of those people to make an appointment. Now, before I get into how we figure out 80%, it's not a statistic that's been used over 15 years and say, okay, this is what a really good school does. The 80-20 rule is a business rule that's been out since the 1920s. I forget the name of the person who came up with that. I believe he was some type of Italian business person. But he would say that 80% of your business comes from different sources. So when Nick Kokinis, who used to be the head of educational funding company, came up with statistics for the industry, he just kind of just a general 80-20 rule. But the cool thing about that, it seems to really true. So if you get 100 calls and people say, I'm really definitely interested in martial arts, 80% of those people make an appointment. we find just the opposite from those cold leads. So if someone's a cold lead, again, maybe they came to a birthday party, they came to a parent's night out, you met them at a carnival booth, you set up a booth at the town fair. Those are kind of cold leads. They wouldn't really think about martial arts. They just happen to talk to you. If you got 20% of those people to make appointments, that would be good. Well, this is one of the things that Paul Garcia was talking about. When he's talking about his indicators, he starts with this one. For people who are coming to me for information, are 80% making an appointment? Well, if they're not making an appointment, why? Because if you start thinking, someone walks into your school, they've thought about martial arts, they're looking for a martial arts school, they took the time to come into your school, why wouldn't they make an appointment? So you should say 80% should be. If you're only getting 50%, probably something's wrong, and you want to look at the scripts you're using, the tour you're doing, how you're making your introduction to people. There's a lot of things that go into making that appointment. Now, out of all the people that make appointments, we want to know how many people show. So if they make an appointment, they could be making an appointment for a paid trial. They could be making an appointment for a free trial. There may be an appointment to take a tour of your school. We want to see how many people actually show up. Again, we're looking for 80%. Some people may come in and just make an appointment because all of a sudden they don't want to not make an appointment and have you get mad at, so they just make an appointment. Or maybe they call and all of a sudden they don't want to spend too much on the time on the phone, so they make an appointment. So there's probably some people that never really intended to come. But if you're looking at your statistics, 80% of the people who actually make an appointment should show. I know this is one of the things that William Pierce has been talking a lot about when he's been doing his automated text reminders. It's just that, the more people I talk about, the more people I find this true. In today's day and age, not everyone wants to talk on the phone. In fact, very few people really want to talk on the phone. But they get appointment reminders from their doctor on text. The dentist sends them reminders on the text. Your martial arts school, especially since you're Rainmaker clients, you should be sending out text or reminders. Maybe a text 24 hours in advance, and then a text that morning. People will respond to a text. I really like the idea when you do a text, can you show up 10 minutes early? People will respond to that. They'll either go yes or I'm going to have to cancel the appointment. So there's a lot of things that you can do to make sure your appointments show up. If you have someone who's very personable on your front end and they're going to call the person the day before to confirm, that's important. I really like what we used to label the ninja call. The ninja call was a kind of a disguised confirmation. You're being a ninja. So you're calling the person, you go, hey, my name is Greg Silva. I want to introduce myself. I'm going to be your child's martial arts instructor. And I was just wondering if there's anything I should know about David before I meet him. Now David's, well, actually, it's good that you called because David's a really shy kid. So when I call introduce myself as the instructor, I become I'm not just saying you guys too, you become very important. I mean, you're the kid's instructor and you want to know if anything. So if they say he's going to be shy, and I said, okay, could you get here about 10 minutes early so I can have a couple minutes extra to talk to him? That's a good way to confirm a call without saying, hey, here's a reminder, your class is at 4 o'clock. You're saying, I'm the instructor. Is there anything I should know about your child before I meet him? So when you're looking at your indicators, out of our 100 people make a appointment, do 80 people show up? Out of the people that show, that's also 80%. When prices were lower in martial arts, we used to have a higher rate on this one. When we were charging, under $100, between $60 and $100, price wasn't really a negative. Everyone probably could afford it. Then back in the early 2000s, people started saying, man, we got a lot of people in some of these schools, it's hard to service them. Why don't we charge more? I'd rather charge more and teach less people. Well, when everyone in the industry kind of decided to do that, not as many people enrolled because there was a price barrier. But when I talk to schools that are doing fairly well now, this seems to be a good percentage. 80% of the people who try the class enroll. And you say, well, that seems like a lot. But if you start thinking in reverse, if someone wants to take martial arts, they take the time to call me, they take the time to come down and try a class. So they wanted to do it. They were really interested. They committed themselves. They changed their schedule. They made time in their day. They actually came down and took a class. And then once they met you, if they decided to not enroll, well, it may have been the experience in the class. Because I don't think price is really surprising people so much. You just have to Google how much the martial arts classes cost, and they'll say, anywhere between $100 and $150. You can find that information. So people know martial arts is pretty expensive. So when Paul Garcia is talking about his indicators, I had a great financial month, but I'm not, I'm satisfied, but I'm not really totally happy because one of these indicators was off. So the important thing is to start keeping these indicators. I mentioned yesterday there's statistics and there's monthly weighted averages. The difference between a percentage and a monthly weighted average. If I was talking to Sal Convento, he says, I signed up 240 people last year. I go, oh, you averaged 20 people per month. Well, if he just did multiplication or division, yeah, he signed up 20 people per month. But he really didn't sign up 20 people per month. He might have signed up 30, 35 in February, March, and April. Maybe May he did 25. June he might have done. July maybe he signed 5 up because it's not a very good month. He might have signed 10 up in August. So each month is slightly different just because of the season. The season for martial arts seems to really follow the school season. So when you start doing your statistics, really important that you keep them and you save them. So if you're going to put this into some type of Excel spreadsheet, make sure you have month by month, you do year by year, so you can look back. I talk about Tom Baker quite often and how he's always trying to improve by 10%. Now, he's not really trying to improve 10% over last month. He's trying to do 10% over his monthly weighted averages for the same month in the previous years. So in February, he doesn't try to do 10% more than January. In February, he's trying to do 10% more than he did last February because he knows things are different. And you guys that have summer camps, like this month's a really good month with President's Day. That's a nice boost. If you're doing $70 for President's Day and you get 30 people in there, and all of a sudden you get 21 extra $100. So that's $2,100 you wouldn't have got because you didn't have a President's Day the month before. So each month is slightly different. So if you're not keeping these type of stats, I would start to keep them. Again, I would save them. I know some people, like I'm talking to guys that have been working for 3 or 4 years, they're really strong. They know, okay, this month is this different. And nothing your monthly weighted averages will tell you, if you find that July is poor for new students, and it has been for the last couple of years, is there anything you can do about it? I know we can do camps and things like that, but is there anything that we can promote in July that would improve? So in other words, if I start thinking about all these things, it starts with inquiries, then it goes to appointments. If I want to enroll more students, I can improve the statistics in each category, or I can look at the info calls and hits and really work on that. If I can double the number of inquiries, I can double the number of my new students. If I know that I get less inquiries in July, well, what can I do different in my marketing in July that I haven't done in the past? The whole goal this July is to get more info calls, more people coming in. If I get more people coming in, I keep my stats the same, it's going to trickle down and I'm going to enroll more new students. One other thing that I just kind of want to talk about real quick is if you've been around the industry for quite a while, you may not be totally up to where you should be on technology. And that's one thing everyone has to embrace. I was talking to someone the other day and was looking at their website, and I noticed they really didn't have their flow built into the, not the flow, but the path built into the website. So they were doing some marketing on Facebook. They didn't really have a page that went from Facebook, a landing page on their website. They didn't really have any way to, for their website to gather information, like at least an email address. There was no schedule. The student, the prospect couldn't make an appointment online. They couldn't pay online. So one of the things for technology is I listened to William Pearson. He's doing a parkour course. He signed up 70 people last month online that he never talked to and never even saw before they came in for their appointment. So he had it was a for a trial program, so it wasn't like they were paying. Sorry about that. But he still had all those people sign up and make an appointment. So if you're not embracing technology, I suggest that that's something that's really, really important. I don't think you really have to just do classes on Rainmaker. If you're not used to doing Facebook ads, Facebook itself has all kinds of instructions on how to do Facebook ads. So educate yourself, start learning this. And the reason I like to say educate yourself is even if you farm something out and you delegate to another company, you still want to make sure you understand exactly what they're doing. So maybe you want to hire someone to do copywriting because they're expert on copywriters. But you still want to see how your Facebook's doing, how to monitor the statistics. I really think that part of your 90-day or 90 minutes working on your business, that you spend part of that on learning about technology. Do we have anyone from Florida on this today? The reason I say that is Paul Garcia is a real good friend of mine. He's doing a seminar, a 2-day seminar down here in Fort Lauderdale. It's going to be Krav Maga training and business training. There's no charge. I talked to him yesterday. He said anyone in this group is invited to come for free. So if you are from Florida, or maybe you're listening to this as a recording and you're in South Florida and you want to meet me at that event, it's Friday and Saturday of this month or of this week, and there's no charge for Rainmaker clients at this. Any questions? Okay, when we started this meeting off, first thing I said was, do we have any victories or success stories? And we got 2 of those. I really like doing those. If you're doing staff meetings and you're not starting off your staff meetings with that, I suggest you do it starting next week. It's a great way to start off your meeting. It's a great way for your team to start looking for victories. Because a lot of times you'll have a victory, but you may not think it's really, really huge. You may have a mom come in and goes, hey, I just got to tell you, David got his report card, and it's the first time he didn't get anything below a B. We're so proud of him. Well, that's a cool victory to share with your team. Because if your why in doing martial arts is to help other people and make a difference, and all of a sudden David's getting better grades in school, that's something you want your staff to notice and look for. So look for those victories. If you have someone who comes in, it's that student who couldn't walk across the mat without falling 3 times, and now he ran right over to you before class and said, yes, sir, that's a victory. So, talk about those things. It could be a big victory. Sal had a couple of them. He talked about his black belts. He talked about actually getting paid in full, so he had a financial victory. But teach your team to look for victories. Again, what we appreciates. So if we appreciate those victories at the beginning of the meeting, it's going to elevate everyone to do better and look for more things that are happening and try to become more of a difference maker.
I'd like to add too, yesterday, we have a couple instructors who are, they're part-timers and they're kind of on the way in and on the way out because they're part-timers and they're always looking for something better. But oftentimes those 7 people that were getting their black belt mentioned how that one instructor helped them out a lot. And I reinforced that with them to say, look, you're making a big difference in these kids' lives. And just so you know, that's why we do those things, and that's why we appreciate having you. And he felt a lot better, you know what I mean? And it's a lot of times that's the intrinsic motivation that we as business leaders, instructors, need to impress upon them that you're really making a difference, although you don't see it on a day-to-day basis. When you see the end point of a black belt graduation, then they feel it, and it hits them straight in the heart. It was really cool.
What you said is so important because we talk about how to keep staff members, and we know that staff members need money, so that's one of the big ways we can keep them. We know that they want to keep growing in the future. And the number 3 thing they need, which may not be number 3, it could be higher to the top, is they need recognition. We talked about last week about all our students having a visible sign around their necks that says, "Make me feel important." Well, your staff has the same type of sign. Sometimes we don't kind of think that because they're our age or they're adults, but everyone wants to feel important. So when Mr. Gavento talks to that instructor saying you are a difference maker, all of a sudden that instructor it reinforces why he loves to do martial arts. It's not just kicking, punching, but it is that difference maker. So make people feel important. Mr. Gavento, thanks for sharing that. Okay, everyone, have a great day. I made a recording of this. I'll post it on. So if you want to share it with someone or share it to your staff, I'll put it up on the page in about 15 to 20 minutes. Any other comments? Okay, everyone. Thank you. Have a great day.